We are at the Modern Pro Support 20K. Yes, these are actually happening again. I'm here with Steven Cincy, and this is actually his first big tournament outside of something like F&M. I mean, what's it been like so far to see something like this for the first time?
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming. Definitely my first time out here. I'm happy to be here. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot of fun. You started 4-0 on day one, so I mean that's got to be like dream come true almost. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of build up, and then we got there, and it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you just locked day two.
Yes,
so
I did.
Locking day two, he's guaranteed some money, so that's really nice. And you decided to play something that honestly, on the surface level, seems like it's maybe a little complicated for a newer player, but it seems to be serving you pretty well. We're playing Indomitable Creativity, which is a little bit like Polymorph. Why don't you give us a brief synopsis of the game plan here?
Yeah, so the Creativity deck, it's an archetype that's been around for a little while now. It's basically a polymorph effect, like you said.
Yeah.
The way that the card is designed, Indomitable Creativity, almost gets around a lot of the polymorph hate, right? The way that it's worded, the way that it's played, and the creatures come out. So yeah, its game plan is effectively to turn tokens and artifacts into big scary monsters and just annihilate your opponent that way.
Yeah, so the signature card here, Indomitable Creativity, what I like about it and what seems a little less intuitive to people is the fact that it can target creatures or artifacts.
Yes.
And the deck has a lot more options than Polymorph did back in the day of creating the tokens to do it. And I think the signature card that it's using is actually a land. So this card here, when it came out, kind of went under the radar because Mystic Sanctuary took the actual stage. But this card's kind of coming out as the next best thing. Why don't you tell me about how much of a difference this makes compared to Polymorph? Just having a lane, you don't have to play a spell.
Yeah, I mean, a free 1/1 on turn 4 and after that is incredible for the deck. It is the engine for the deck. I've tried it with lower, and it doesn't work. It is absolutely reliant. So yeah, that 1/1 sometimes that'll be the difference between a loss and a win.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not going for the game-winning big creature, you can just block. Like it buys you time. That's what I like about it. However, I think the sleeper card in the deck is this card right here. This card creates 2 tokens. Why don't you tell me about how that's been playing out for you today?
Yeah, I mean, 1 mana, 2 for 1, right? What can you ask more from?
Yes,
it's
perfect.
Incredible. Hard and evident. You got the crab, you get the clue. Flavors on point, and both are targets. Either or are targets for our Indomitable Creativity. And hitting X = 2 is almost game winning. So
yeah, and I like your pick of removal and interaction here. It's pretty standard, like just card quality and the colors that you have access to. But why don't you tell me about your decision not to mainboard the Emrakul? You decided just to go with the Archon package. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I think, when it comes to the traditional Indomitable Creativity packages, you get your Emrakul and your Sarah's Emissary, which you'll see in the sideboard right there. But what ends up happening is you have to end up X = 2 on your Indomitable Creativity to set up for a win on the follow-up turn. In a lot of cases, that can win you the game, but you kind of need value immediately sometimes. And I think the comeback potential and the get-ahead potential this has right off the bat when it hits the battlefield is huge. So, yeah.
Yeah, and here's something I noticed, too. With the new card, Faithful Mending, this works a little bit better with Archon than when you get an Emrakul stuck in your hand, because you can actually pitch the Archon and then bring it back with the Persist package. So
yes.
I actually can understand that, but most lists I've noticed do play the 1/of because, the Nahiri can bring it back. But the rest of the list seems pretty straightforward. You've just got good cards like Teferi are just quality, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about your decisions on sideboard picks. I noticed you had Obsidian Charmaw over here. I played this card in some of my decks, and it did not work out well for me. So tell me how it's been going for you.
Yeah, so Charmaw is there to put up the defense on Tron mostly, right?
Tron,
at big events like this, as far as I've heard, again, not a ton of experience, Tron is a big player, and you need to have something to take care of it. Prismatic Ending isn't usually enough. Wear Tears aren't usually enough. So hitting on X = 1, taking him off Tron, and getting 1 or 2 extra turns out of it can be the difference.
Okay, and the last thing I want to wrap up with, my favorite sideboard card, Leyline of Sanctity. I think this is a sweeper in a lot of decks, especially decks that have over-the-top strategies either with the graveyard. And I played it in decks like Living In, because it stops a big swath of graveyard hate like Endurance and Nile Spellbomb, but it also is good against Burn, it's good against Discard. So tell me how that's played out for you today.
Yeah, Leyline is fantastic. I think, it's pretty polarizing in the metagame. I think some people think that it's not well positioned. Other people think that it's very well positioned. But so far, and whether it's Burn, Grixis, Hand Destruction, even Archon, right?
Yeah.
Archon targets.
Yeah.
It's
So
around all.
Archons, yeah.
Exactly.
You can actually cast it too. The decks I played in can't cast it, so that's nice.
Absolutely, yeah. So
All right, well,
that.
it's a really impressive deck. I might kind of pick it up myself, not gonna lie, but that's all we have time for today. Be sure to check in for the next deck profile.